Good day, people. My name is Geoffrey Kadia, and I am here to explain the phases of wound healing or tissue repair. But before that, what we need to establish what tissue damage or a wound is, because before you know the phases of the repair, you have to know how it came about the wound. So, a wound is a break in the continuity of a tissue or a blood vessels or any part of the body or a cell. So I know many of us, or you watching me, at a point you have had an injury or a break in the skin, on the skin, or on any part of your body, internally or externally. That is a wound. Then, before we talk about the phase of repair, the repair process will occur depending on the type of cell at that tissue or at that organ or at that system that's affected. So we have three types of cells. The first one we call labile cells or labile cells, and those cells actively reproduce, they actively proliferate, they actively grow back, like mitosis. So if there's any injury, they actively come back. E.g., when you have an injury on the skin, the cells there are labile cells and they easily proliferate to have other ones to replace them. Then we have quiescent cells. Those cells can also be called stable cells. You find them in the liver, and those cells, you have to stimulate them before they will be able to divide or proliferate. Then finally, we have permanent cells. Permanent cells could only repair if there's a damage. They don't divide. For example, the neurons in the brain or the neurons that pick impulses to the central nervous system to the brain. So these are the types of cells we have. Now let's dive right in to the phases or the stages of wound healing. We have four phases of wound healing. Number one is what we call hemostasis. Remember, there's hemio and there's hemostasis. This one is hemostasis, from blood, hem. And the second one is inflammation. Thirdly, we have proliferation. And fourthly, or the last but not the least, is remodeling. So what is hemostasis? Simply put, hem meaning blood is a way of arresting bleeding or arresting blood, stopping blood from gushing out. Whenever there's a tissue injury or there's a wound, in most cases, bleeding is part of it. Now, the body in its own way to manage the process, first of all, we need to stop the blood from gushing out, because if we don't do that, the blood will finish. So the body senses blood is going out of the system. What do we need to do? So a temporary system where platelet and fibrin will rush in to go and put a temporary blockade to stop the blood from gushing out. And when that is done, that is the process of hemostasis. When that is done, then, so during that hemostasis again, there's usually vasoconstriction, because the body senses blood is going out of the body. So the vessels will reduce or constrict so that little blood will be going to that part, until the blockade is formed, before the body will now think of the next thing to do. So once the blockade is formed, we'll now go into the second stage, which is inflammation. In inflammation, there was vasoconstriction in hemostasis, but now in inflammation there will be vasodilation, because the body is now aware that there is an injury somewhere and blood was gushing out, but now we've been able to arrest the bleeding. And the next thing we need to do is we need to send soldiers there to go and know exactly what the problem is. So the inflammation part of it is when white blood cells, first of all, neutrophils will be sent to that part to go and see what is really the problem. So when neutrophils go there, there will also be a vasodilation, so that fluid containing those neutrophils, more blood will be sent to that part. There was constriction and is dilation, so that more blood will go there, and as a result of that, there will be swelling, because more blood is going to that part. There will be an increase in the size. It might be very obvious, and also there will be pain and heat like that because of the rush of blood into that part. Then when that is done, remember I said neutrophils will be the first to go to that part, then secondly macrophages will follow. And when that is done, the body is able to certify that there's a problem, bleeding has stopped, white blood cells are there, neutrophils are there to fix the issue, and the issue is fixed. Maybe it's infection, and infection that got in through the open wound were able to be arrested and dealt with. We'll now go into the third step, which is proliferation. So when there's an injury, cells are damaged, blood vessels might also be damaged. So there will be what we call angiogenesis. That's development of new blood cells from the existing one. So there's any damage in blood vessels, that's angiogenesis, fixing blood vessels from the existing one. So when there's a damage, there'll be a repair during that proliferation. If there are cells that were damaged, remember I said maybe if they're labile cells, they will be fixed. If they are quiescent cells, when there's a stimulation, they will also be fixed. And during that proliferative part, more cells will divide to make sure the issue is fixed, and those cells that were gone will now be regained back through the division of the other cells, existing cells. And finally, we have the remodeling stage. The remodeling, remember I told you during hemostasis that it is a permanent, it is a temporary blockade. Now we have the permanent blockade going to be formed by the body using the collagen fibers. Collagen 1 will be converted to collagen 3 so that it will form permanently to make sure there's no break again, because leaving the temporary one, the fibrin and platelets, it might not be very strong, and any little pressure will cause a break on that part that is affected. So most times you see people who have injuries. When I was a child, I did it too. Maybe you have a wound, then the first part, which is that fibrin or platelet being formed, platelet clot being formed, you now peel it off, thinking peeling it off will make it heal better. But that peeling it off, you're interfering with the process of healing or tissue repair. So your wound won't heal on time. Because remember, when that temporary blockade is formed, there will also be white blood cells or neutrophils sent to that part specifically to arrest the process, and fluids will be sent there to more blood will be going there. So imagine cells are going there, and then you now break the process. The cells might go out and they will not be able to do what they're supposed to do. Then infection can come into. So this is all I have for you today. I said it's wound healing. We talked about the types of cells we have. Remember, we said before your wound will heal, that means there's a break or there's an injury. So there's need for repair. We say we have Levi cells, we have quiescent cells, we have permanent cells. Then the process of wound healing, we have the hemostasis, which is arresting bleeding. We have the inflammatory process, which is the body sending neutrophils and macrophages to fight any infection there. Then we have proliferation, where angiogenesis will occur, new cells will be formed, blood vessels that are damaged will be fixed. And finally, remodeling, where collagen fibers will also form the permanent blockade so that there won't be any damage due to pressure or anything. Thank you for listening. We are always here for you. If there's any topic you want us to elaborate for you, just put it in the comment section. And if you have benefited from this, you can share this to friends and loved ones to learn from the process of wound healing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Stay blessed.